Okay, Luke, I'm taking a look at your problems here, 18, 19, 27, and 28. So let's get after it. I have the teacher's edition, and that just gives answers, but I wanted to show you some work. One thing that's going to help is going to Symbolab. That's Symbolab. I got it, right here pulled up. If you just Google Symbolab and pull up their calculator, you can arrange. I have your last one up here still on here. And what's nice about it is it goes through and shows you some of the steps to help you try to make sense of it all. So that's very helpful. A lot of students up here at high school use that. So taking a look at this first one, number 18. We start with this expression. Got to look back and think back about what I did here. The fraction rule. The fraction rule, if you have a negative over a negative, it's positive. So you just change it to positive right off the bat. And then you're going to factor. So just factor this out. This 3 is out here, right? And the 14 could be broken up into the square root of 2 and the square root of 7. And you have x cubed, but you could have the square root of x to the second power. You could bring out an x, and you'll have one x still left in because you had x to the third. So the square root of x2 is just x. That's why this x is out here. You still have one left in. And then the denominator, you have square root of 3 and the square root of 7. Bust that up and you still have the square root of x. Now canceling, this is what gets a little bit tricky. If you try this on your calculator, if you just take 3 divided by the square root of 3, you will get the square root of 3. So the square root of 3 just kind of moves up. So that's how this becomes square root of 3 up here. You still have a square root of 2 up there. Square root of 7 over the square root of 7, that's like, any number divided by any number is 1, so these just cancel out. Just like what we did with the 3 and the square root of 3, x square root of x is actually would be the square root of whatever x is, so that's up here, that comes up here, so that's why that's there. And this square root of x is still up here, okay? Now the radical rule, square root of something times the square root of something is that something, because they would be the same number, x is the same number. So like square root of 2 times square root of 2 is 2, if we knew x was 2. Now, and then you multiply what's under the radicals, 3 times 2, you have square root of 6. So your answer is square root of 6x, or I guess it could be written like this, x square root of 6. So either way would be good. Okay, hope that was helpful. This one, number 19, you have this expression. The radical rule is going to be, you have a radical over a radical. You could just put it underneath one big radical and make it like this. Now, when you have the same number to a power, you're going to use power rules. And you're going to have, 3 minus 2. This is, whenever you have exponents, I don't know how much you've done with exponents. We've done them a lot here. But if you have a fraction like exponents, you just take the top exponent minus the bottom. So that leaves you with 1. And you could just stop right there, square root of 13f. In fact, Symbolab stops there. Your book takes it further. Apparently, there's a way that you multiply these and you get 65f over 5 if you're, and that's more like thinking that rule, when we were doing this, if you were to take 13, square root of 13 and the square root of 5, that would be the square root of 65 as a numerator with the f still up here, but you would leave the 5 down below. So, either answer would be good. This is Symbolab's. This is your book's answer. Okay, they took it one more step further. Number 27 and 28, you're doing that multiplying the conjugate thing. So the conjugate is just the denominator, but you multiply it by its, if it's subtraction, you're multiplying it by addition. So you take this is what you started off with, 1 over the square root of 3 minus 2, multiplied by the conjugate. That's what that times conjugate means. Okay. You do the FOIL method. I don't know how much you've worked with the FOIL method, but first times first, the outside times the inside. Notice this would be negative 2 square root of 3 the inside, and this would be positive 2 square root of 3. That would cancel each other out. And then the last times the last would be negative 4. So this would actually be 3 minus 4, which is negative 1. So that's why my new denominator is negative 1. 28 gets a lot more complicated. I'm not going to explain every single one, but you're using the FOIL for that one because every single step it takes forever. And then this is just 1 times that, so it just is that negative, or the square root of 3 plus 2. The rule, you know, any number over 1 is itself, so because it's negative, it's going to be a negative itself, and I don't know why I move these around. It could have the square root of 3, square root of 3 plus 2 still here, but I have 2 plus square root of 3. I don't know. I move it back over here. So I just have that, and then you distribute the negative, so it becomes negative 2 minus square root of 3. Or you could flip it around and have the negative square root of 3 minus 2 as your final answer. So either one of these answers would be good. And then number 28, since we have this at the bottom, we're going to multiply by the conjugate. And when we end up doing that, what that does, like down here at the bottom, it gets rid of the square root, because when you do first times first, outside times inside, you'll notice that I have a negative and I have positive, they cancel out, and you do the last times last, that would be negative 4. It ends up being 28, because the 4 times square root of 2 times 4 times the square root of 2 is 32, and you minus this 2 times negative 2 minus 4 gives you 28. When you do this FOIL, since we have this, you know, something different back there, square root of 2, you still have a square root up here, so you have 10 square root of 2 plus 2. When you do first times first, outside times outside, inside times inside, and last times last, you end up with this, 10 square root of 2 plus 2. Then you just factor out, I could factor out, I could, you know, make this, factor this out, a 2. I'd bring a 2 out of here, and that would be 5 square root of 2 plus 1. And then 2 and 28, I just bring that 28 over. 2 and 28, I can simplify 2 and 28. I can divide both the top and the bottom by 2. So this gets rid of that 2 and just leaves me with the 5 square root of 2 over 1. And 28 divided by 2 is 14. All right, this was the best one yet, man. Good luck. This is some tough stuff. You are ready for high school and beyond. Good luck.